out of place. Actually, the word vertebrae comes from a Latin word meaning to turn. So it turns the vertebrae out of place. When muscles contract, that can affect the nerve distribution, and then they can throw off our body symmetry, our body balance, because those muscles are contracting the structure and will make one leg shorter. But the big idea here is it will collapse your field. If your field collapses, that means it feels like everything is coming in on you. Someone says good morning to you, and you say, what do you mean by that? So everything may bother you. You ever have that feeling?
Yes.
So we want to see what it takes to relieve our stress. Uprighting yourself. Now, also I know, acknowledging as a chiropractor is as we upright ourselves, and I think there's a TED talk about putting ourselves in a powerful posture position. It actually helps us emotionally. So the first step with relieving our stress is uprighting yourself. Next step is while placing our feeling intention on our heart area. Now, with HeartMath, I'm a certified HeartMath practitioner, and with the HeartMath Institute, through research, it's found that if you just place your feeling intention over on your heart, it takes you out of your head. So when someone says something you don't like, immediately you put your attention on your heart, and it allows, you can say, the accelerated thought process to begin to slow down. While breathing slower and deeper. Let's practice this. So it gives you a little field experience of what that means. So everybody upright themselves. And you're going to place your feeling intention on your heart, or you can put your hand over your heart. And then you can focus your feeling intention on your heart. Okay, let me know when you have that. Raise your hand. And then breathe as if your nose was on your heart. Breathe in through your heart slowly. And breathe out slower out through your heart. Yeah, in through your heart. And out through your heart. One more time. In through your heart. And out through your heart. You have a sensing of how that can help there? Now take some practice. And there's ways here of actually measuring whether you're in. We missed the slide here. Let's get back to heart rate variability. So I wanted to talk about why that heart needs to be in its right rhythms. Now, heart rate variability has to do with the spaces between each heartbeat. Each heartbeat should have a slight variability to it. The healthier the variability, the more it gives us a sense of resilience, a sense that we have a constitution to handle things that come along. Here it's graphed out. When our heart rhythms look like this, graphed out, and when our heart rhythms look like this, it makes a difference in the way we think. So these are coherent heart rate rhythms. And what happens is, the big picture, the reason why I was sold on HeartMath, because we recognize through science now is that there's more messages from your heart going to your brain than your messages from your brain going to your heart. So if you get your heart rate rhythms in the right order, in the right healthy way, it sends good messages up through the brain, especially through this area, the amygdala. That's where our stored emotional patterns are. So when someone says something to you that you didn't like, sometimes you might have an automatic reaction. I remember growing up with my mom, if we said a certain thing, you'd be pressing a button, and then, wow, you gotta watch out. So we call them, remember the old tapes I would play. But when we're feeling angry or frustrated or fearful, this is what our heart rhythms look like. Just imagine, like, that's how we feel. When we're feeling gratitude, thankfulness, kindness, compassion, this is what our heart rhythms look like. And just imagine, we're more in a flow. We're more in a flow. And that influence extends up through the internal parts of the brain, has to go through the medulla, which affects blood pressure, but also affects especially this area, and then it goes out to how we're thinking about things. We backed up a little bit. This was supposed to be at this point, so just kind of catch the drift here. So we had this practice, And then seeing is believing. So talking about those heart rate rhythms, there's ways of telling whether you are in sync, whether you are in those right coherent heart rate rhythms, using a sensor attaching to your ear. Essential lifestyle choices. Okay, we talked about posture, breathing, nutrition plays a big part. Nutritional blood work. Now looking at a person's nutritional blood work, we can see, now for this particular patient, vitamin D, this patient came in with bad stomach pain. All she can do is focus her attention on her stomach. Her stomach was bloated and she was having abdominal pain. So I run a foundational panel that includes vitamin D. Now more and more doctors are taking vitamin D, but it's so important. Every cell in our body has a receptor site for vitamin D. Her vitamin D was 19.20. Healthy range, it needs to be at least 50. Clinical range is 30, so there's ways I can actually compare healthy versus clinical. For her, we wanted to pick that up. I also ran cancer markers for her because with low vitamin D, that can correlate with certain cancer potential. So checking her cancer markers too, the C19-9 relates to pancreatic cancer. Someone coming in with bloating, something like that, you want to check that for. 6 months later, we put her on vitamin D. 6 months later, she comes back, and her vitamin D is 89, on the upper range of 90. So we tempered back, but she comes in now, and she has no abdominal pain. And she shows me her stomach. She says, look, Dr. Ventolo, my stomach's going down. But also her cancer marker has been improving too, so we need to keep an eye on that. Essential lifestyle choices. We talked about posture, breathing, nutrition, and Now fitness, that can be a whole talk in itself, but fitness you want to keep in mind two things. One is you want to find the balance between activity, exercise you can say, and rest. Finding your right rhythm with that. And there's a whole thing to discuss in that way. But essential lifestyle choices. Now these are important, but there's something more important regarding our health and how we handle our stress. Our thoughts and emotions affect our body. Again, where energy goes, where attention goes, energy goes, the results magnify. For the patient with the stomach pain, all she could think about was her stomach. We got her out of pain, and sure enough, it helped her with her stress. However, we want to focus our attention not so much on our body, because when we all have concerns, but even in our world, when stresses come up, something we don't like, we focus all of our attention there, guess what happens? You know what happens. It makes it worse. So it needs to be a different orientation. This relates to the core of health. And the core of health is our thoughts and emotions, instead of being focused on our body or our problems in our world, we be focused on what we know to be true. Have you read, I don't know what you think of Oprah, whether you like her or you don't like her, but if anyone reads her magazine, the last page is, what do you know for sure? This stems from an interview she did with Cisco. Way back when Cisco asked her at the end of the interview, Oprah, what do you know for sure? And Oprah said she was actually flabbergasted being asked that question. She didn't know how to answer that question. But that planted a seed, and sure enough, she went home and started meditating on what she knew to be sure. Now, what we know to be sure expands step by step. But I always encourage folks to find things that gives them a sensing of what is sure for them. For me, I love the Psalms in the Bible, and I've taken the gem healing verses out of the 150 chapters, and I've distilled them down. So folks can just open the book up. I have them spaced out enough where actually they can look at the book and just find a spiritual vitamin in the moment. A particular verse I love is, "Onto the upright there arises light in the darkness." So we're talking about stress, and we're talking about posture. As we upright ourselves, as we maintain our integrity, keep our integrity, sure enough, we may not know how something's going to work out, but sure enough, the sun shines. So let's bring this all together, why we're doing this. That's the body of my talk.
That's great. Okay. That was 12 minutes.
I had to back up a little bit. I missed 2 slides.
That's okay.
I don't know how I did that.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple of things. I feel like your structure still needs a little bit of work. and it may be because we're in the middle, right? So take this with a grain of salt. I like the essential lifestyle choices, those 4 elements, as kind of a core structure. So if you can kind of talk through those elements separately, it'll allow my brain to know where we're going, because I felt like I was getting a little lost. So that might be one way to give it a little bit more, kind of provide a thread throughout the whole thing. It's a lot of really good information here. The very beginning, that very first slide, the health versus disease.
Yes.
I got lost in the midst of a lot of that detail. So that was part of why I kept looking for something to hook onto, something that gave me a little structure. So, so that might have been a little bit more information in the very beginning than the audience is ready to absorb. I love the tools section. I love the exercise that you took us through. I think it would be phenomenal if you could figure out a way to have something that, is something that is kind of a takeaway, it's upright, heart, breathe, whatever that might look like, so that there would be something repeatable that people can kind of take away with them. I thought that was really good. And your heart math slides are really brainy, so I think I would just reproduce them. Yeah, but I thought it was a lot of really good information.
Yes.
Just a little structure change. Yeah.
I like the experiential. I love all the health stuff. So, yeah, and I think the first slide, I think probably just more with some of your slides, they're probably going to be just higher quality, a little more professional look, because we've all kind of seen what's possible.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, wait till you see mine. They're like really not good. But yeah, no, wow, Steve, I just remember like from way back, it's like I want to grow up to be like Steve.
Yeah.
I want to see that much progress. Yeah. So I mean, just how far you've come. I mean, I totally got the whole thing. I was totally immersed in obviously the information because I can relate deeply to it. But I think, a couple of the slides, the first one was kind of like, I followed the structure. I love the heart math stuff, and just love the experiential stuff. But I think it was just maybe more clarity about the slides.
Might have to call Tom.
Yeah, or there's other people around too. But I think they're so powerful. Like those are memorable. Were you talking, Christy, about like having like an acronym or something to walk away with? Okay.
Yeah, for the tools.
Yes, right. So I can remember.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So if I want to go back and do this on my own.
So break that slide down to.
I don't know. I think it just if there's an acronym that you can come up with that kind of covers the upright,
Breathe.
heart, breathe. Yeah.
UPN or UB whatever.
Yeah.
UBS. Everybody
It's
knows.
UHB. Based on
USB.
what I
Everybody knows
get.
what a USB is, so you
Yeah.
can remember that.
Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Yeah. I knew I'm going to add critique to that.
So, I too love it. I think I can reflect a lot of what was said, but my thing is that if it was going to be something short, I think you need to have a lot fewer slides. Because I feel like where you were strong was, like, this information so much, and I felt like you were really too dependent on looking at the slides and like getting information from the slides, so it felt like it was too much information in such a short period of time. And so I wanted a lot more of the experiential, so there could be like, these are 2 points to take away. So if you're really talking in such a short period of time, I think I'm kind of lost. I mean, like I kind of got it, but I didn't get enough emphasis in, key points.
That's a good point.
Dr. Steve, I like where you were, I think where you were going with the stick diagrams to help the visual, but I got lost in the stick. Like, it was more of a bot, I got lost in the stick stuff.
Okay.
Because I felt like it was like pick up sticks. There was like too much crossing and I was kind of following, but I kind of like it that you're giving a visual for that, what you're kind of showing, but and then especially on the second one, when you said, and then your vertebrae goes out of alignment, I'm like, the vertebrae is in alignment, it's straight, right? know, it's like those details, like, oh, you want to show it for everybody, like her, you know, like, it's those kinds of things, because I'm like, if you're pointing it out, there's some, but I get it, but there's some work there on when you asked us to do this, and then you said raise your hand,
Right.
I'd rather you had said shake your head.
Good point.
Because the hand, and I'm like, oh, I just got in that, now I'm supposed to raise, like, I was making that.
That's a
just-
really good point.
Yeah, so if you just did like shake your hand, that would be great. And then I love when you said, at the end of that exercise, you said, makes sense? Does that make sense? And I'm like, no, it doesn't really make sense yet. But I felt a connection, right? So if you said, did you feel a connection?
Yeah.
Did, you know, like when you look at, because if once they make the connection, they're like, okay, there's something that did happen there. Like it may not make sense because you're going through why this makes sense, because it may not make sense for them, but they definitely were able to make a connection. So I feel like just to say at the end, did you feel a connection instead of did it make sense, may help you there. And then I loved the organic, real humor when you talked about the memories with your mom. Oh my gosh, that was really great, because I was so right there about the way that I knew my mom when she said certain things, like I was in deep kimchi versus okay. I love that part. And then when you said at the very end, why are we doing this? I knew that you were going to recap it into a way that I'd be like, okay, man, I'm going to get why it's so important. Whatever it was that I just felt like, what that's really going to give me in my life moving forward. I love the way that you set up what you were going into your clothes. I thought that was really powerful. Great, thank you.
I'm up.
Yep, can you do it in about 30
You
seconds?
can do it.
Okay.
The one thing is, I like that you got posture, breathing, nutrition, and fitness,
Yeah.
but I kind of got lost where we were, kind of in the middle, so maybe put one in the corner and just highlight the one that you're in right now. Does that make sense?
Oh,
So if you're talking about posture, you got that thing up that maybe the posture's blue and everything else is white or something. Like the questions, you were asking like test closes, have you ever heard of that before? Have you ever had that feeling? That's good stuff. I like breathing exercise. That's pretty much it. And what everybody else said, you need an acronym or a number, maybe number them or whatever.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
All right.
I can take this out for you guys.
Yep, and then,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he's got it. Yep, that's it.